I am up here to share the Lord's table. However, this is a little bit of a special day for me. My son wanted to give me this special gift today, and he said to me, Dad, I know you're doing the Lord's table, but I really want to share this with you. He said, Dad, I've been watching you. I know that things aren't always good. I see you in the home. Sometimes I see you upset or down. I know that you've been really working really hard, so there's something I want to give you. I want to give it to you in church. So I said, sure. You want to bring that up to me? Gabriel, you're that kid. Want to bring that up to me? Sorry, one of those. And thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. It's one of those things when somebody that really knows you and sees you, gets you like something special. I'm excited for this moment. It's socks. Thanks. You got me socks. No? Because here's the problem. That's what we do with this. We take the God that knows us so well, sees everything that we go through, and he gives us this great gift, and we treat it like it's socks. We're acting like this is socks. We came here, whether that's walking, talking, seeing, being around our family, being around our friends, being around other believers. Maybe everything in life is terrible, but you're here today. You have an opportunity today for God to touch your heart. God brought you here today for a reason. Maybe everything's terrible, but you have life, you have salvation. Maybe everything's horrible, but today we get to take the cleansing blood. Today we get to take the body of nourishment that seeps into our souls, not here on earth, for all of eternity. And we're going to sit here and act like it's socks? Everybody has the blood of Christ, the bread of his flesh. May as we partake in it today, may we partake in it with the true joy that this gift is. May this be Christmas morning, and we have an excitement for the gift that we're receiving today, because this is not socks. This is true life. So Lord Jesus, right now, we repent for all the time we marginalized the greatest gift the world has ever seen, Father, where we marginalized your cross, Father. But today, in this very moment, Father, we say thank you with a joyful, excited heart for the greatest gift that we've ever received. Amen.
They are nice socks.
Found in your hands fullness of joy, every fear suddenly wiped away. Here in your presence, all of my gains now
glorious. There it is.
Beautiful.
Come on, church.
Glorious.
He's
Matchless in every way, wonderful, beautiful, glorious.
You're the only one that's matchless, Lord. Every ruler, every king, every queen that has come on this earth, you're the only one.
Matchless in every way, wonderful,
Church, sing it out.
glorious. You are matchless in every way, wonderful.
here this morning, every ruler that has been on this earth, I think of the Neros and the Caligulas and the Constantines. They thought their glory was matchless. I think of people from the 20th century, the Lenins and the Stalins and the Castros and the Hitlers, and they thought that their thrones would be forever, and they thought they were eternal, and they thought they were immortal. But you are the only King. You are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Lord, we thank you this morning that we were just invited and we experienced convergent space where heaven met earth. And right now around the throne, there is heavenly worship, and the 24 elders, and they're singing and they're bowing before you, and we just come into the song that has been going on for all eternity, and the angels are there, and everybody that has gone before us, our loved ones, every single saint is there too. We come in with that eternal song. We just take part while we're here, while we see dimly on the other side of the glass, but we know, and we will not be moved by what we see with our eyes. We will be moved by what we know is eternal. We will not be moved by the transitory things of this life. We will not be distracted by everything that Satan is trying to do to take us out with these weapons of mass distraction. We will be a people that will be on our knees. We will be a people that will love you. We will be a people that will put you first, because you are glorious, you are matchless, you are beautiful, you are the most beautiful thing, because you created this, the heavens and the earth and everything that we see, all of nature, every mountain and every valley and every ocean and every animal that is on this earth sings and worships you even if they don't even know it, because you are a great God. Amen. Oh, that song was just, I may want that at the end again. I never ask for music at the end. I just may need that again. Teachers, children, you can make your way out. If you're, we got that going on. Melanie's leaving. Kids, if I felt like I went 15 rounds with Mike Tyson this week. I don't know how else to, you don't know who Mike Tyson is, one of the greatest boxers of all time. My wife's trying to tell my 14-year-old who that is. No, you weren't? Oh, sorry. Well, did you ever have those kind of weeks? In the natural and in the spiritual? Yeah, in the natural, give you an example, like yesterday, you enjoy the rain, right? The deluge, right? It just didn't stop raining, right? Last couple of days. Me, I'm home with the family, in the kitchen, garbage needs to be emptied. I take it out, strolling outside, it's raining a little bit, and boom, to the right, I hear like a tsunami. The pool has exploded. And the water is gushing out. And at first I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. I've never seen something. I'm like, this is really cool. I've never seen something like this. How many times do you get to see a pool explode and water just gush out? And then I'm like, it's going toward the prayer chapel in the back, and that cannot be destroyed. So I went from very calm to very crazy in a matter of seconds. And if you know me well at all, really didn't handle the situation so well. I'm yelling and screaming. I can't get the pump to get the water out. It's not working. I'm on the phone with my dad. My brother-in-law shows up. One brother-in-law shows up at the house. He's got a pump. He's got his extension cords. My father-in-law, dad, everybody showed up because they know how helpless I am to figure stuff out. Right? And then there's a yellow jacket nest too, where I'm like, what is happening right now? And you can kind of laugh about it after. And then my other brother-in-law, Scott, shows up later on. Everybody thought it was like end of the world. And then I was like embarrassed. Because like the water eventually like went down, it receded, and I'm like, all right, we're okay. Right? But I'm talking about 15 rounds of just like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. I don't even know if I should, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Looking at the book of Revelation and saying, we're just going to plow through it. We're just going to go and see what happens. It's been enjoyable, but it's hard. So I'm wrestling the entire week, and yesterday, anybody, my parents, everybody saw me. Megan's like, "You're all right." I'm like stressed out of my mind and vacillating back and forth, do this, and I'm trying to hear the Spirit. So that's kind of where I am. Tired right now. Soul is tired. I know the preacher's probably not supposed to tell you that, but I'm just telling you right off the bat where I'm at, right? No, I have another life that lives in me, yeah. Thank you, Pastor Linda. But I want to start this way. Can I just, we're really technically in Revelation chapter 6. I can't get there today. I can't get there. So it's kind of, and by the way, I didn't even realize my little throne. Last week we talked about Game of Thrones. That was the title of my sermon from Revelation 4 and 5. And I'm just going to leave that little throne up there. If somebody wants to take it, when the service is over, you're more than welcome to. Okay? You want to steal it. Well, I want to start here this way today, and this is what for the rest of our series, this is what I want us to think about. We spent the entire summer looking at the letters to the churches, right? John's on the island of Patmos, right? He's sent there. They try to kill him. They put him in a cauldron of boiling oil, and you can't kill him, so like, get this guy out of here. Put him on an island. They put him on Patmos, and he's there, right? And he has this beatific vision, the revelation. And I want it to be the return of the king for the rest of the series. That's what I want to call this. And I want to start, though, here with just a simple question for you. What do you think of when you hear this word apocalypse? What do you think of, right? What do you think of? Some of you are already yelling answers out. I wasn't asking for you to participate publicly. I was asking for you, I'm kidding. But that's good. No, it's good. I like dialogues. I like the other night. Hey, by the way, I got to throw this out there too. That 20s group, that I got more out of it than probably they did, right? Keith, did you as well? Naeem, if you're in your 20s and you want to be part of something really neat, so I'm excited about the Spirit was there. And this group, different people, an eclectic mix, all different backgrounds, but people there that love God. So I would encourage you to do that. Dale, right, you just walking in. How was that meeting the other night, brother? It was good. Good to see you. Well, I know, do you think of this? How about this? Do you think of this? Apocalypse? You do? Oh, okay, the big mushroom cloud. Yeah, exactly what I knew, Barbara, I knew what you were thinking. Or how about this? Do you think of this? Like almost like Walking Dead, end of the world, right? This dystopian, Stephen King-ish type of movie, something really bad. Or do you think of maybe this? Terminator. Yes, he'll be back, right? He'll be back. John Connor and the Terminators, and Keith, what's the name of the company in the movie? The Skynet. Yes, Skynet. And how crazy it is that movie, anybody you see Zuckerberg this past week with the glasses, the AI glasses? Anybody following that? I mean, we're moving closer and closer and closer to the real Terminator movie, right? They didn't know it back then in the 1990s. But can I give us a real definition? Because I need to do this. I feel like I need to do this. You see, this is what an apocalypse is. We have gotten a Western mindset. We as Western Christians have been given an idea about what the apocalypse is, and it's very different from what the Bible says it is. An apocalypse is a disclosure or revelation of great knowledge. That's what it is. But we don't usually kind of see that. I mean, the Western view is gloom and doom and destruction. Do you know what this entire book, I have to go back in order to go forward. This is the crux of the message when you look at the book of Revelation. It is not plural revelations. It is one revelation. It is a full disclosure of who Jesus Christ is. It says in the first verse, the revelation from Jesus Christ. It is showing us a full disclosure, putting Jesus on display. That's what this book is all about. But the Western church, and I feel like just the world with all of the movies that we watch and all of the books that we read, even Christian books, they have created an image of what apocalypse looks like, and it's not what the Bible says. And they have done us a great disservice. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going today. So the hidden thing for a Christian, anybody that was in the first century, right? And we've said this throughout the series. You can't understand what this means for us unless you understand this book, this revelation of Jesus Christ, was written to people living in the first century who were under incredible persecution, duress, stress. They had so much going on in their lives. They were under attack. We can't understand the message unless we understand that. So for these people that were living during that time, what was the message? What was the apocalypse? It was that Jesus conquers. It was that at the end, Jesus is the winner, that God wins, but Jesus wins. It's the Lamb who laid down his life. He wins, and the followers of Jesus are with him. The main message of the book is not about trumpets. It's not about bulls. It's not about the Antichrist. It's not about beasts and all these different creatures. It is about Jesus Christ being lifted up and exalted and being over everything. That's the message of Revelation. And I'm sorry, there's a proliferation. You go on YouTube and you look at the preachers and you look at everybody, and everybody is looking to when this is going to happen, that event that's coming, and who is the Antichrist going to be? It was Reagan, and then it was Kissinger, now it's Jeff Bezos, and now it's Bill Gates. You don't see, am I the only one that sees this stuff? And we're so caught up with, are we in the end times? And what is it going to look like? And who is this person? And the real message of Revelation and what John is saying is no, it's about a full disclosure of Jesus Christ. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted by what you see. Stay in love with Jesus. The King is coming back. The King has won the war. We're missing the apocalypse. We're missing it. So what do you think of when you hear end times as a Christian? By the way, there are no end times when you really think about it. Time doesn't end. It just keeps going. Do you think of the mark of the beast? Do you think 666? Do you think Antichrist? Where is he? Is he on the earth right now? Is he here? Are those the kind of things that we think of? Or do you think about Jesus Christ, the bridegroom, the King, coming back, the lover of our souls, coming back to be with us forever? Is that what you think of, or do you think of the other thing? Because much of the church is talking about all the other nonsense and getting distracted and keeping us from loving Jesus Christ. We are not to get all caught up with this. John would look at the church today and go, what's wrong with them? That's not what the message is. It's not about when the Antichrist is going to come. And who is he? And is he coming from Europe? Is he coming from the Middle East? All this stuff that we get caught up in, and preachers everywhere, great preachers, they talk about this stuff. So those are all like tertiary issues. That's not the really important stuff. Can I tell you this too? Because some of you are so entrenched in your views. Your eschatological views, your end time views. Can I just put this up on the screen for us to look at it? I know that it's not that large. Hopefully you can see it. These are just some end time views. Look at all the different views. We have full preterism. Every prophesied end time event in the Bible has been fulfilled. We have partial preterism. Some of what was prophesied has been fulfilled. We have futurism. All prophecies about the end times have yet to be fulfilled. We have amillennialism. There will be a 1,000-year reign of Jesus on earth. We have, very popular now today, pre-tribulation rapture. The church is raptured before a period of tribulation, a 7-year period. We have people that are mid-tribbers. The church is raptured 3.5 years into the tribulation. Then we have post-tribbers. The church endures the entire 7-year tribulation. Isn't that great? And you may go, I don't care. I don't know what category I'm in. I'm here in church today. I'm just confused because there are so many differing opinions. Can I say this to us? Why am I putting this up on the screen? Because although there have been different opinions, if I said to you, Tony Evans, Dr. Tony Evans, who I love, Voddie Baucham, if I said John Piper, I said John MacArthur, some of the contemporary scholars of today, many of them have different views on this eschatological end time stuff. If I said Martin Luther, if I said John Calvin, different lens on how they think things are going to happen. But why am I telling you that? Because even if you don't agree with anything I say, or you don't agree with some of these other people, it has never been a deal breaker in the church. Eschatology has not been a deal breaker. How about we talk about what you have in common? What we have in common as Christ followers. I don't hear preachers ever do this. They talk about their views and how they're so entrenched. No. Let's talk about what we have in common and the doctrinal issues that we stand on as Christians that we know. I'm glad you're asking that question because I'm going to show it to you. Jesus will return. If you don't believe Jesus Christ is coming back again, that's a problem, okay, as a Christian. Number 2, Jesus will judge the living and the dead. You ask any Christian, they should believe this. Jesus' kingdom will have no end. We will be raised to life and given new bodies. All who believe in Jesus will have everlasting life in God's presence. All who reject Jesus will have eternal separation from God. How about the things that we have in common? These things, these doctrinal issues that we have stood for, the church has stood for centuries. I'm not asking you to get all caught up in the eschatological views and go, well, I don't know, I think this is the case. Well, this preacher said this, and this YouTuber said this, and they made a really compelling argument for this. That's not what this is about. That's not what this book is about. This book is about lifting up Jesus, and I need to keep saying it. That's what it's about. How many of you know the name John Wesley? John Wesley, he is one of the, you could say, church fathers. He's from the 18th century. English minister, the Methodist denomination started with him. He is known more for his sermons. His brother, Charles Wesley, was known for writing hymns. Wesley in England, this coincided with everything that was going on in the 1700s, with what we saw up and down the eastern seaboard in the colonies and the First Great Awakening. Jonathan Edwards, George Whitefield, he was doing things in England and the Spirit was moving. He had visited the America. And then you see what this guy did, but he was asked by a woman one day, he was asked, John, Mr. Wesley, I could do an English accent, but Megan, I can't do it the way you can. What would you do if you knew the Lord was returning tomorrow? Just ask that question. Good question, right? What would you do? You know what Wesley said? I love this. Wesley said, I think I would go to bed that night. I would wake up in the morning. I would do what I normally would do, and I would go to work and be found doing exactly what I had done the previous days. I would do exactly what God had called me and put me on mission to do. Did you hear what I said? We are to be on mission with what God has called us to do and not get so wrapped up with when are things going to happen. We are to be longing. We are to be expecting. We are to live from that other life that is on the inside of us. We are not to get all caught up when events and things are going to happen that we don't know and nobody knows. You can sit here and go, I know. No, you don't. None of us do. Nobody knows how things are going to unfold. Nobody knows how things are ultimately going to unfold in terms of these views. I'm not an expert. I don't know, but I know you aren't either because I've read a lot over the years and studied. And wow, this really sounds convincing. And then it's like you're constantly waiting in your theology. Well, I thought I believed this, and no, I don't believe that anymore. I believe this. How many of you know what I'm talking about? We can get so caught up with that, but I think we're supposed to be, the end times is not to be a distraction for us. It's about us staying on mission with what he's calling us to do as a people and as a church. What do you think he's going to find his church doing when he returns? You think God's going to find his church hunkered down? It's okay, John. Listening to great songs like that. No, really, what do you think he's going to find the church doing when he comes back? Talking about Marx, talking about beasts, talking about the one world government, talking about Marxism and socialism, talking about all these things that we feel like have infiltrated American society and they're so evil. Are these the things that God is going to find us talking about and the church talking about and that we just hope to get out of here one day? We just hope we get raptured one day? Is that what he's going to find the church ultimately doing? Because I don't think that's the message of the Bible, and I don't think that's the message of what's written in Revelation. Because there are so many Western Christians, can I be honest, that just want Jesus to hit the eject button so they can get out of this world. Just hit the eject button. And how do I know that? Because when COVID hit, halfway through it, I wanted the eject button. I wanted to get out of here. When I showed up week after week and there were just faces on the chairs and I did it at first, it was kind of cool. Wow, that's kind of cool. And after a while, I was like, I can't do this anymore. That's how many Christians are living their lives. Just keep me from problems, keep me from tribulation, keep me from all these issues. I want to be rescued from that stuff. You're all quiet because I know I'm preaching well then. You're super quiet. This has to be resonating with you. It's hard. This is hard to preach. We're so caught up with this kind of stuff. I want to be found not of the world, but in the thick of the world. I want to be a Christian that is right there in the middle of the mess and everything that's going on and bringing light into all the darkness that's there. Not looking to get out, not looking to escape, but saying, God, you put me on mission. What am I supposed to do? Even if we believe that he is going to take the church out. That's great. But what are we doing now with our lives? Do you know how many people? Thank God for these two people. I met a lot of people as a Christian when I was a kid. I went to work with a guy. I don't want to say because Poppy, you sent me to this guy, and I went to this guy, and he was a Christian. He was a crazy Christian, though. And he had crazy Christian friends. And the one guy was talking about how the end of the world was coming, and he wasn't even planning for his kids with college and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with people? Do you know how many Christians? I'm serious. I've been around. I'm 50 years old. I was raised I'm a pastor's kid. I met a lot of crazy Christians that thought the end of the world was coming, and they lived that way, and they didn't plan for the future. That is not biblical, church. It's not biblical that we just sit there, I hope I get out of this. It's because we're weak in the Western church, because we want comfort, ease, and security, and we don't have a proper lens as to what's really happening in the world, and it's not our fault. We live in America. It's so easy here to be Christians. It's so easy. Last week, there's 30 people in the room because it's raining out. People stay home. What, you don't want me to do what? Tell you like it is? It's the way it is. And then you have places in the world, in China, communist China. You have people, we're showing a movie in November. Your butts better be in here in November. Yeah, you heard me. In November, there's a great story about what's going on in North Korea with pastors and people, what the lengths people will go to worship with other people, to get a Bible and just read it. But our lens as Western Christians is, hey, I'll go to church if I want to. I'll do that if I want to. Maybe if I get a chance. Maybe I'll go to a small group. Maybe I'll get connected with other people. Maybe. That's what we're living in. You know what I want? I want kids. I want for my kids and your kids to know that the kingdom of God is eternal, the kingdom of God, that Jesus is coming again, but I want them to know they can experience it right now. I want the kids to know you can experience Jesus now. We're waiting for his return, but he lives inside of us. There's another life, and you can live a supernatural life now. You can experience heaven now. You can experience his peace now as he lives through you. You can experience his joy now as he lives through you. You can experience his strength now as he lives through us. That's what I want our kids to hear and know and experience. We are ambassadors for Christ. We are to be light bearers and bring light into the dark places that we go. Are we not? What did he say in the Sermon on the Mount? Sermon on the Mount, passage, forget that, passage we're all familiar with. Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. He precedes this by talking about salt. We're to be the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its flavor, what good is it? I'm not getting into that, but I want to focus on this. You are the light of the world. The city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Why are we putting our light, hiding our lights? Why are we hiding them? Church, we're hiding our lights. We're putting them away. It's okay. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Sucks for them. Sucks for all those people out there. I'm getting out of here, but maybe they're not. It stinks for them. How many of you are into lighthouses? I've never talked about lighthouses before in a sermon. I don't know, shocking, preaching for a long time. How many of you are into lighthouses? All right, maybe 3 or 4 of you. Good. It might not be the best illustration then. Note to self, don't talk about lighthouses ever again. Oh, did I say that out loud? You know, I think there's something that's pretty romantic about lighthouses. Would anybody agree? Does my wife agree? She doesn't agree. Note to self, second time, never take Megan to a lighthouse. All right, Mom, you want to go to a lighthouse? Yeah, all right. My mom wants to go. Okay. Leave the gun, take the cannolis. All right. I just think I think lighthouses they're like hauntingly like picturesque, right? There's something about them that is warning boats that there are perilous waters it's a beacon of hope. In the midst of very murky, turbulent waters, it lets a boat know you are here. This is true north. You can make it in. Come here. This light is letting you know. And I did a little research on lighthouses. This is what I want you to learn. I didn't know. This was fun. I mean, I was really getting into lighthouses. Okay? By the way, hundreds of lighthouses dot the coastline of the United States, both sides. West Coast, East Coast. I did see an article, I didn't put it up here today, but they are retiring a lot of lighthouses. And you maritime people, I know my uncle knows a heck of a lot more than I do. My nephew knows a lot more than I do as well. And lighthouses, they're retiring a lot of lighthouses because of GPS, navigation. You kind of know where you're going, right? So that makes sense. But still, there's something that's so cool. The article was talking about how they're auctioning some of them off. You see, I don't know if you knew, I didn't know that. Yeah, so really neat. Ones that have been around for a really long time. Well, here is on the West Coast. This is the tallest lighthouse on the West Coast. This is in Central California. It's called Pigeon Point Lighthouse. It's 115 feet high. Countless ships, boats have been saved as a result of seeing this lighthouse. Here's number 2. I mean, this is like Stephen King-ish. I don't know if you're a Stephen King fan. Yeah, some of you are. You're like, do I say that in church? Megan and I actually watched, it was actually a great documentary on Stephen King stuff. We're big documentary people. So if you're a Stephen King fan, I know the pastor's probably not supposed to be talking about Stephen King in church, but I am anyway. Sick. How good was that documentary? Because there was spiritual stuff that they talked about in there. It was really powerful. Pastor Linda's going to yell at me later. Portland Head Lighthouse is perched on Cape Elizabeth in Maine. It's been beaming its light since, get this, 1791. It's probably the most famous lighthouse in the country. All right, that's number 2. I love this one. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. This one is in Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina. It's very distinctive spiral stripes. And I love this. It guides ships through the treacherous area. It's known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic. All right? 198 feet tall, was picked up in 1999, and it was moved 2,900 feet, where you see it there, inland to protect it from shoreline erosion. Really cool. But a lighthouse has one job to do. You know, there's no people that take care of the lighthouse. There's no life vests that are in there. Its only job is to be a beacon of light and let the light invade the darkness. That is the only job that a lighthouse has. That's the only thing, and it's letting ships know you are entering high-risk, dangerous waters. You're entering dangerous waters. Church, can I tell us, we are supposed to be taking light into the darkness. We're not supposed to be backing up. We are the ones that are supposed to be light bearers. Instead of saying, I want to get out of here, we're not supposed to run from tribulation. We're supposed to move right into it and say, the life of Christ lives on the inside of me, and he wants me. He's put me here. He's going to use us in those situations. We are not to run from the darkness. We are not to run from all the turmoil. We are not to run from tribulation. We are to go right into it. That's been the message of the church from the beginning. Look at the persecution that hit the church in the first century. Look at all the different events, the plagues that hit the church. The church was the one that would go in. They didn't run. They said, we're going to go right into the danger. High risk, danger ahead. We're going to go into it. That's our calling still as the church, to go right into the dangerous waters. We are stewards of this message. We are stewards of the light. We are to be light bearers and bring it in. Can I give you a picture of what's happening in other places in the world? Because we keep saying again, oh my God, it's getting darker and darker. I say it to myself, oh gosh, it's getting darker and darker. Look at all this stuff that's happening. Anybody else? You're saying that when you see all the events and things that happen? Can I give us a global perspective of what is happening in the world? That revival is happening on this globe. You look at places, what is that? Oh gosh, here we go. Revival in Iran as thousands accept Jesus since the pandemic. You don't hear that reported on the news. How about the next one? From revolt to revival, Iran uprising causing explosive growth in the underground church. People that aren't allowed to openly worship Jesus Christ. The church, people are going into the darkness. They're not running from it. They're not looking for an eject button. They're saying, put me right in dangerous waters. I want to be a lighthouse. I'm not done. No, stop. I'm not done. Next one, an underground revival in Asia. How about in China? Revival, the underground church. This is right now. Things are happening. How about this one? 40,000 revival prayer groups spring up as Taiwan's Christians face Beijing's belligerence. Happening right now. Christians that are lighthouses and are going right into dangerous waters. Church, when you're at your job, you're supposed to bring light into the darkness. You're a light bearer. They're supposed to know and see that there's something different about you, that the life of Christ lives on the inside of you. Don't run from that. Get right in there in the midst of it. But we like to run. We want to get out. Get us out. How many of you know the name James Stockdale? Put a picture up here for you. Oh, I should say this. I'm all over the map. No, I'm not doing that. James Stockdale. Anybody know the name? I know you know the name. You know the story. James Stockdale passed away about 20 years ago, was a Vietnam War veteran, a commander, POW prisoner, Medal of Honor recipient. And he talked about in a book, he's talked about this many different places, about his experience as a POW, as a prisoner in a Vietnam war camp or camps. And he was asked, well, how did you survive? You see, there were a few thousand POWs in the Vietnam War. Only 591 survived. Only 591 out of the few thousand that were there. He was asked, why did those other individuals not make it? And you know what he said? He said, the guys that didn't make it, they were idealists. They were optimists. On the surface, an optimist, that sounds good. They were optimistic. No. This is what he meant. You see, he said, when it was the beginning of the year, they would say, by Easter, we're getting out of here. We're going home. They were starved. They were beaten. They were tortured. We're going to go home. We know Easter, it's coming. And then when it didn't happen on Easter, they said, 4th of July, then we're definitely getting out of here. And then when that didn't happen, they would look to Thanksgiving. When that didn't happen, they would look to Christmas. And Stockdale went on to write about how many of them, he said, died from shattered and broken hearts. Because they kept, instead of accepting the reality of the situation in which they were in, they just kept saying, it's going to happen then. It's going to happen at this point. It's going to happen at this point. And they died of a broken heart. The people that lived were realistic with what they were up against. They knew that they would ultimately win. They knew that they would get out, but they weren't looking on the calendar saying it's going to be 1 month from now, it's going to be 6 months from now, it's going to be a year from now. They took it day by day, the way we are supposed to take it, looking and longing for his return, not saying, we're going to get out of here now. We're going to get out of here in 6 months. Oh my gosh, the eject button, it's going to happen then. It's going to happen a year from now, and I've done this. And there's so many Christians that want nothing to do with church because that's how they've led their Christian life. It's supposed to happen. The festival's in September. The church is going to be removed. Again, I am not saying anything about the theology. I am talking about a mindset here this morning. Do you hear me? Don't come up to me after, you don't believe in the rapture of the church? No. I'm talking about a mindset that is not biblical. It is not biblical when we look at life this way. We need to look at things and say, no, you've put us in this position where we have an escapist mentality in the Western church. Just get me out of my problems. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, I'll go to that. Why not? One of my favorite passages in the entire Bible is where Paul writes about Abraham. Look what it says. Abraham faced the facts. Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed and so became the father of many nations, just as it had been said to him, so shall your offspring be. Without weakening in his faith, he faced the fact that his body was as good as dead since he was about 100 years old and that Sarah's womb was also dead. He faced the facts of what was in front of him. Can I tell you what faith is not? Faith is not saying, I'm not sick. No. If you're sick, you're sick. You don't stand for it, and you believe on the promises of God, but it's not saying that. I've met so many Christians, that's how they live their lives. They don't live in reality. That's not faith. He faced the facts of what was going on in his body, but there was another fact and another reality of a God that lives and a God that moves, and a God says that all things are possible for people that will believe. That's what he looked at, and that's what he believed. We're way too comfortable, church. Comfortable Christianity is the biggest weakness of the church today. Comfortable Christianity. We just want to be so comfortable. We don't want to be left behind. Can I just, come on, church. I have to say, when are you going to hear a sermon? I don't know. This is just what God put on my heart to say, and I'm trying to say it the right way. I may not be doing a good job. I don't know. But all I can say to you is I feel like it's like the original, like FOMO. Fear of missing out. Like, I don't want to be left behind. And I've read and I have talked to people that their parents said, oh my gosh, you have to get right with God now. And if you're not right with God, you're going to be left behind. It's done psychological damage. Did you know there's an area in psychology, and I could show you articles of people that have been bruised and battered by a false Christianity that is not real, about not living in reality and just looking to one day instead of living in this day, in this moment, and not looking ahead. Has to be preached, church. Has to be preached. I feel like there's a fear-based eschatology that I'm so sick of in the body of Christ. There's a fear-based eschatology. People are living and walking around with fear. No wonder. Come on, church. I'm brave enough. I don't care. I'm brave enough to preach through this. It's hard. Give me preachers on TV that you listen to all week. All they're giving you is a man-centered gospel. The biggest people that you love, and I love them. They're amazing communicators, but they're giving you a man-centered gospel, most of them. They're giving you a man-centered gospel, and they don't touch stuff like this, and they don't talk about it. The purposes of God. This book, by the way, the 66th book in the Bible, is the last book in the Bible. It's a culmination. The other 65 books, it's putting a bow on everything, the grand epic narrative that God has been telling about who Jesus is. That's what this book is. But I want a faith-based eschatology, that we're lights in dark places. And the light is ultimately going to win. Just like the enemy went after Jesus and he thought that he won, but 3 days later, he came up out of that tomb. And ever since then, because of what he did, there have been billions of lights across the globe. We are lighting the runway for Jesus Christ in his return, the second coming. We are the lights on that runway. And we can't lose sight of that, church. No, I can't say that. I said enough. I feel like I got my message out. I could say more, but I'm not. Listen, You know what I wanted to go into today? Look, this is what I really wanted to do. I wanted to go into the four horsemen, probably give you a different interpretation of what we hear a lot. Go into chapter 6. I couldn't do it, right? I want you this week, though, I think you should get ahead. I'm actually not preaching here next week. The week after, I'll be preaching from this in Revelation. Anytime I'm up, whatever is next. But here's the bottom line for me, the crux of the message this morning. The Western church has given us a fear-based gospel, an eschatological picture of what's supposed to happen. I feel like in our church, my parents didn't really do that, thank God, right? But I feel like in a lot of places, a lot of people that I've met, they have no relationship with God because of what was presented to them. Church, saying it one more time, we are to be beacons of light. We are to be light in the darkness. We don't have a fear-based eschatology. We know how the story ends. This is an apocalypse about lifting up. If you get out of this series, if you don't touch Jesus more and want to know him more, the bridegroom that's returning, then something's wrong. Because at the end of the day, that's what everything is about. All of it, and we look at the four horsemen, that's the whole book. We've complicated things. The plain things are the main things. The main things are the plain things. Don't get caught up, looking at the forest, missing the trees. Monty, is he okay? It's okay. It's okay. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. You're a good boy. Good boy, Monty. No, it's okay, buddy. Is all right? Good. Tommy was at the meeting the other night. It was great. He took the harness. And remember, you can't pet Monty when he has the harness on. He's working, but he pulled the harness off. I mean, he's the best. He's a love. Yeah, we love him. Monty, we love you. You're part of the family forever. Right? Well, church, that's the message I had this morning. I'm just going to pray us out. Lord, I pray this is a difficult message, not easy to probably hear, not an easy message to deliver, but I think it's important at this hour that we become a people, Lord, that look to you and trust you and understand what this book is really about. It's about lifting you up. It's not about being afraid of events that are coming in the future. It's about living in this day, living in this present moment, and living from your life that lives on the inside of us. And trusting in that life, that life is going to lead us through the most difficult situations. But Lord, we will not run from trouble. We will not run from tribulation, even though the great tribulation is coming. We know that. There's a 7-year period, but we don't know if the church is going to be here, if the church isn't going to be here. Nobody knows for sure. But Lord, I know that you will be with us the entire way through it. You'll see us through the church. May the church wake up. May we be little lighthouses all over the place in showing people where it is and where life can ultimately be found in you and not in all these other things. In your name we pray. Amen. Anything you want to clean up or no? I never asked that in a sermon before. No, I'm serious. Is there anything you want to clean up? No, I'm dead serious. I'm giving you full reign. If there's anything you want to say before we leave. I've never done this in a sermon before, but I feel like this was hard. This was not easy today. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you agree with everything I said. So just talk.
Yeah. No,
No pressure.
no, I think the thing that I would underline, James, I think the thing I would underline, and wherever you're standing, what God has said to you, James, is you need to stand there. You need to stand wherever. If you feel clearly that the scriptures are saying one thing, then that's where you need to stand. I know he's saying that to you as well. But honestly, James, this is what I think the bottom line is. Everything in false Christianity is a distraction. Everything. Whether it's the gifts, prophecy, the rapture, the second coming, doesn't matter. The rapture is just another one of the things, because you're right, James. If you look in Revelation 1, it starts with an amazing, glorious revelation of the glorious, ascended Lord Jesus Christ in all of his glory. And yet I don't hear people talk about that. I don't hear people talk about that vision of Christ. I don't hear people talk about.
I don't feel bad.
Okay.
If you
No,
felt
no,
I'm
no, no.
disparaging your
No.
favorite preachers or
No.
That's not my goal. But
The
I'm
point
just
is this.
saying,
The point
yeah,
is this. The
right.
point is this. The point is this. Whatever he distracts you with. Actually, James just said correctly that the book of the Revelation is not about things. It's about knowing Christ himself. But this is what I want to underline. So is every other book in the Bible. In other words, you don't read the Bible to get information. You read the Bible to say, Father, I want to know you. What about from now till Christmas, we make a church endeavor that we go to every book in the Bible we read and say, where are you here, Jesus? Where are you? You're in Exodus in the Lamb. You know, where are you, the King? Where are you? Every single book of the Bible is not there to give us some more head knowledge. The church is drowning in head knowledge. And we're all fighting with each other. We're fighting with each other.
I know
Yeah.
people want that. They want things defined. And there's just, so many different views and multiplicity of
Yes.
views and all this stuff.
Yes.
That's not the goal again. That's
Yes.
the distraction.
But it's part of Babylon, and it's part of the false church that will do anything, even the religious and the good things, to distract us from knowing Christ. One thing you'll always hear in this church, and I happen to have the pulpit next week, so I'm going to be talking here too, and I'm going to follow. And the one thing that you're put on this earth for is to know him. That's the bottom line. It's to know Christ. And so I think all you're saying is, wherever people land on doctrine, it doesn't matter whether your doctrine is, water baptism sprinkled, water baptism immersion. Listen, every church there is, denominational or none, there are people that know Christ, and there are people that are sitting in every church and every denomination that know Christ, and a lot of people who are sitting in churches every Sunday that don't know Christ, right? Catholics, Protestants, right. So I think the bottom message, James, is the message, and that is every book of the Bible. It isn't about doctrine. It isn't about us getting centered. What you're right about is you can get so centered on the rapture and be thinking, your eschatology, that where is Christ in all of it, right?
I think at this part, church, it's because we're in a part of the Bible. When you look at chapters 4 through 18, the church isn't there, and that's what you'll hear people say. There's no mention of the church until the end. And I get that, and a lot of people that have that pre-trib rapture view, and that's great. God wouldn't pour his wrath out. So I understand that. That's where, yeah.
I believe in the pre-trib rapture. And also, for the most part, I do. Not that I totally agree with James, because you can sit and put holes in.
It's on every one of it's.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, the bottom line is we believe he's coming. And I'll tell you, every one of those groups, I will guarantee you, one thing the church knows, it's soon. And I don't care. You can, whatever you want to say to me, you can't convince me. I've had teachers for 50 years ago that told me things I saw happen right before my eyes. And I can't believe how fast this is going. All I know is whatever you believe, you do need to be ready to know he is coming back soon, whatever that means. Whether it's 5 or 20, it is sooner than any of us believe. And that I'm taking to the grave. That's what I'm taking to the grave. And I believe in a pre-trib rapture. I believe the church will leave before. I believe that for the most part. I may be surprised, but I want to tell you the truth. And this is not patting myself on the back. I am not taken up with the rapture every day. I am taken up with Jesus Christ every day of my life. That's what I'm taken up with.
Thank you. All right, church, we held you long enough. Have a great week. Yeah. Wait, Pastor Joe just wants to say something. Just go ahead. Okay.
Was the 10 virgins, that the 5 that didn't have any oil when he came. And that was so pronounced in my notes today.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm carrying out of here.
Right.
That, you know, I gotta go check my closet, check my oil.
All right. Have a great week, church.